Shake, Rattle, and Troll, a show for the serious fishermen, as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm Don McDowell. Welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll this morning. We're coming to you live from the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess, North Scottsdale, 7575 East Princess Drive. We've been out here since Tuesday on their third annual Freedom Festival, supporting the military. Joining me today is J.K.
Well, good morning, Don.
J. Colazar in the house. Got your 88 hat on, National Guard.
Yes, I do.
Did you root for Dale Earnhardt yesterday?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Didn't pay, but I did.
Well, the main thing is, everybody got through Daytona 500. Man, they tore up some equipment.
Oh, in those last 10 laps, it was all over the place.
Yeah, it was. Also, my pleasure to have Master Sergeant Christopher Dempsey.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Love your hat.
What we can see of it?
I got an 88 hat on, too.
Oh, look at that.
I have it from good authority. You happen to know Dale Earnhardt personally. Is that a fact?
I've met Dale probably about 5, 6, 7 times. Daytona 500, Coke, I believe it was the Coke 400. Here in Phoenix a few times. The National Guard sponsors Dale Jr. and I'll tell you what. One time I was in Daytona with Dale Jr. and I was new to the autograph scene, so I had this NASCAR car in my pocket. I got to go up on stage and shake hands with him. And it was during the 8 Soldiers, 8 Missions promotion. And up on stage, I whipped that car out of my pocket because I figured, I'm going to get that brother to sign it. I want him to sign it. I don't want somebody to...
One of those key pressure points, right?
Right. And I thought, well, I'm on stage. What are they going to do, throw me off?
Yeah.
So I pulled out that car, and they tried to. It kind of surprised me. One of his people come over and said, no, we don't do that right now. And Dale Jr. looked over at the guy that was there, and he said, you know what? We do this right now. And he pulled out a pen and signed my car there on stage. And I don't know what he does other places, but right there in that moment, I gave that man a lot of respect. He could have said, no, we got to go. No, we're going to leave. But when he told his guy, no, we do that right now, pulled out that pen and signed that car for me, I took it home and put it inside a little glass case and set it up on the shelf. And I thought, man, it took a lot to do that. Well,
yeah, I mean, that gets out of the corporate environment. That gets out of the autograph secret. That's just you and him, and that's him, how he responds outside of what I call the reins of the world as it is. So that's really cool that he did that.
Well, here's something you don't know, and Master Sergeant, I'd like for you to expand on this. You mentioned 8 missions, 8 soldiers. You were one of those. How'd you get up there?
Back in 2010, the National Guard did a 8 Soldiers, 8 Missions. 88 is his car number. And they took different individuals from the National Guard for things they did. Like they had one young man there who in Vegas in one of the large malls stopped a random shooter. The only reason why he's alive is because the weapon malfunctioned when he pointed the weapon at him. But me personally, I was part of a team that went up into the mountains of Afghanistan in 2008, and it was at the time it was Senators John Kerry, Joe Biden, and Chuck Hagel were in a helicopter that had to execute an emergency landing in the mountains, and we were led by at that time Lieutenant Dennis Chamberlain and Sergeant First Class William Nanny. One of the bravest men I ever served with. William McLean was the lead truck. So we went up into the mountains, and we started out on dirt roads. It was all dirt roads, unimproved roads, and Bill McLean led us through the snow. The last couple hundred meters to the helicopter, you had to walk because you couldn't see the road no more. It wasn't that the snow was falling deep; it was that real bad drifts, in the mountains, snow drifting, and it kind of amazed us because of all the units they could have called. They called an Arizona National Guard unit.
In snow.
Of course. And it was getting dark. So being part of that rescue mission was what enabled me to go hang out with Dale Jr. at the at the Daytona event.
Very nice.
Yeah, you know what, they were, I tell everybody it's one thing to go to an event, it's another thing to be invited.
Right.
It makes it a little bit more special to be invited. So yeah, we got to go to Daytona in the 8 Soldiers 8 mission. But there were some remarkable people there. There was a guy that stopped a random shooter. There was another National Guard soldier from Massachusetts that went hand to hand on grenades. Went hand to hand on grenades in Iraq. His unit was pinned down, and all he could do was move forward through the rubble by himself, which he did. And you know what? When they talk about heroes, for God's sake, man, there's a fine line there between heroes and insanity, I guess. But
yeah, the insanity level creeps up.
But the only thing I can really tell you is, and they say in those moments that an individual will only remember about 15% of what happened.
Right.
And I think what happens is you get right there to that minute and you say, the only way to go is forward. You don't really have a choice, and you just pick yourself up and move forward. So, but yeah, there's some great people out there, man. Great people.
Well, I appreciate you coming down today. You guys have been awful busy out here at the Freedom Festival. You've had your rock wall. How many soldiers did you have out from your command giving support to the Scottsdale Princess?
I think we had about 10 people total over the last 3 days. We were rotating them in and out. It's been kind of hot. We brought the rock wall out. We brought our Humvee out. We did a water survival course. Brought some uniforms, some backpacks, and we were showing people how they can float around in the water with that backpack on. Like everything we do, the worst thing you can ever have an individual do is panic.
Right.
You're allowed to be scared, but panic creates chaos, and chaos creates, the ultimate, which is somebody's life. So you try to work in ways to control that panic and that chaos, and that's why we did the water survival course, in a waist deep pool, so they could feel what it's like to be in that pool with all your equipment. But the Princess has been really great, man. They opened up their facility. They let us come in here and do our demonstrations, and and most importantly, they fed us.
I knew food and drinks had to be involved sooner or later.
Food was. I'm not drinking. We're moralistically correct. So really good food. Really good food.
Having said that, we're going to move along on that one. Yeah. Also, we need to recognize and thank Master Sergeant Mike Majors from the 158th MEB put this thing together. We've got some guys out here from the Arizona Military Vehicles Collectors Club that brought some vintage equipment out, a couple of motorcycles, some pretty interesting Jeeps, and Wanda and Perry brought out the scale model of the USS Arizona. It is out front, and I'll tell you what, we've had a wonderful time out here. And John, I don't know about you, but this is the first time I've personally spent any time out here at the Scottsdale Princess. What a gem in the desert we have here.
Well, I thought of it, when I walked around the back, I've been here several times, and we've had a couple of banquets here that I've been involved with, but when I walked around to the back to the lagoon, I felt like I was in Florida. If you didn't know you were in Arizona, you would swear, with those big lily pads out there that they have, and that small pond, the little pond that by the way, that's impressive to see the big boat in that pond. That was cool.
Yeah, pretty right. Well, we'll talk about that. Yeah, they've got, from what I understand, a total of 69 acres here, which is about the size of Glendale. And the staff is just absolutely outstanding. I agree with Master Sergeant Dempsey. The food is just wow, really excellent. Hopefully, Nick, the restaurant manager, will be over here to visit with us here after a little while. And rooms, casitas, the property. From a conservation standpoint, one thing I noticed, there was one heck of an ecosystem out here.
Very much so.
Rabbits, ducks, quail, lizards. Haven't seen any snakes, but rampant golf balls coming off the TPC. We have incoming.
Incoming, yeah.
A couple golf balls out there bouncing around yesterday, but we spent 3 days out here working with the children in the, I'm going to call that the South Center Lagoon. You're right, we put the Shake, Rattle, and Troll, Bill Dodge, Daiichi bass boat in the...
That was impressive, and what my biggest thrill was to watch you turn the engine on, and those kids that were climbing all over your boat. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. altogether, we've had kind of like lost count yesterday, around 90 children out here with rods, reels, catching fish, and we'll talk about that when we come back from break. But once again, if you have an opportunity, have a need, stop by the Scottsdale Prince at 7575 East Princess Drive in North Scottsdale, right off the 101 loop, east of Scottsdale Road on Princess Drive. A wonderful place just to come out and hang out. You know, this is one of those places that you can leave home, but you don't have to leave town.
Correct.
Yeah, come out. The amenities out here are just outstanding with the Kids Corner. They really do a good job. You were down in the Kids Corner doing exercises, calisthenics with the kids? What's up with that?
Well, we did it was supposed to be a meet and greet, but I don't know how much of a meet and greet you can do with 10 5-year-olds. So, I asked the manager down there, can I get a couple basketballs? And the look on his face was, why do we need basketballs? I said, well, I'll show you. So we took the basketballs and we was playing with the kids and we handed them prizes. And the first day we was here, there was 4. The second day we was here, there was like 10. And yesterday was like 16. I'm like, where are these kids coming from? And they said, Dempsey, just keep coming, man. Just keep coming. So we had marching around the room and singing songs for about 45 minutes. And
teach them dodgeball with basketballs. It's awesome.
That's kind of what we was playing. You know, I'd throw it to them, they'd throw it back. And if you missed, you had to sit down. And then the one kid, this is what happens when you work. You know what? You got to love kindergarten teachers. You got to pay them double. And I had one winner. You know, he won, and I gave him his little prize. It was just a little towel. Holy cow, man.
All right, hey, we're going to thank some of our sponsors, including the Arizona National Guard Master Sergeant Dempsey and Master Sergeant Mike Majors. I'm Don McDowell here with
John Colazar.
Woo! Yeah, we'll be right back.
People say I'm no.
All righty, we're back. Wow. You can check out the Shake, Rattle, Troll website. We've got a new JTV icon. Play along with us live. Master Sergeant Dempsey, we're live.
Come on, put your ears on. You look better that way.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Now I'm happy.
Okay, yeah. Talking to the...
Now, you know what Don's doing.
Okay, that's good. All righty, as we go through today, we're definitely on track with the military presence here, and thanking these guys for their continued service and sacrifice. As well, we need to recognize at roll call 19 fallen firefighters in the Yarnell fire that occurred June 30th. I'm sure everybody's aware of that, but we want to recognize them by at least name and age. We don't have the hometowns and all that stuff yet. San Diego, John, the yellowtail are still biting. Something's going on. You know, the Pacific Ocean's like this little pond out here. It's got a personality of its own. And it is truly just a big, giant lake. The bluefin are being caught, but the day and a half to...
After a 3-day?
Yeah, I'm going to call it the long-range boats. They're the ones whacking the big, the bluefins. We haven't seen any evidence of yellowfins yet. Master Sergeant, I know you can't tune a piano, but can you tune a fish?
Oh, come on. He's speechless.
Just think about that for a minute. Okay, we're going to move on, and we're seeing and hearing reports of big giant white sea bass that have been missing for about a decade, being caught over around Santa Cruz, Santa Catalina Island. Yellowtail that are being brought in, they're 25 to 35 pound class. Some of the bluefin are up in the 70 pound class.
Oh.
And you know, the bad part about it is we were hoping the albacore and the bluefin would stay around that 180 mile inshore mark, but they've slipped a little bit. They're down about 140, 180 miles. You're having to take
a 2 day,
at least a day and a half boat. First choice would be a 2.5 day if you have the time. So it's happening. The home guard down around just outside Ensenada on the rock pile and down around the islands on the Yellowtail, those guys are still getting blasted on the 1/2 and 3/4 day boats. A lot of barracuda, awful lot of barracuda being caught, which are fish tacos.
Yeah, they're good. I've had barracuda. I enjoy it.
Have you done any offshore fishing? Seriously?
No, I drove one. Barracuda, we talking about barracuda?
I knew it.
Hip. Okay.
Yep.
Marching 5-year-olds, huh?
What were you doing offshore?
We're going to talk later.
You know what? Don's mad because over the last few months, I've been having people call him up and say, "Is this Don McDowell?" And he says, "Well, yes, it is." And then hang up on him.
We all get that a lot.
No, I mean.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to tighten this thing up. John,
good luck. You try and tighten that loose end up on that side.
There is so much security out here.
Oh, that's the other thing. I was checked and double-checked about 15 times and thrown out of places because I wasn't wearing the blue and white badge, circular
These
wrist
guys
bracelet.
are on it out here. You know, the comfort level here at the Scottsdale Princess is on a scale of 1 to 10 is about a 12. What kind of current opportunities is the Arizona National Guard offering up these new recruits?
You know what, Don? The National Guard still got some great benefits. They got their medical plan, they got a college plan, and what I try to tell young men and women that the one thing that the Guard will provide you is a quality work skill set. No matter whether you're an $8 an hour employee or a $100 an hour employee, you know, a skill set, the ability to work hard, show up on time, be where you're supposed to be. The National Guard gives you those skills, and those are important in today's work environment, especially in a downturn economy where they're looking for quality people who smart, intelligent, make good decisions. The National Guard has some great leadership schools you can attend, but for the right-of-way guy, you know, a great medical package, a great ability to help finance your college, a paycheck, you know, a new skill set, and even for that guy who's that young lady who's already moving forward in her career, if you just ever want to do something to challenge yourself. And
what's the age range that you have to be within?
The age range now is 17 to 35 is what it is, and basically what it is, the 35 is. You have to have enlisted before midnight on your 35th birthday. So
we're late, Don.
Basically, it's 17 to 35 is the age limit now, and of course you still got we got the ASVAB, and you take a doctor's physical to make sure you're physically capable to do the things they want you to do.
Do you have a testing? Yeah, there's got to be some form of a series of testing, particularly for people after 30.
Right. There's the Armed Forces vocational aptitude test. Sometimes they can do it locally, but a lot of times we do it at the Military Entrance Processing Station down in downtown Phoenix. So once you get those things out of the way with the National Guard, we go to most of all of our training's done through the active duty Army. So you'll do 10 weeks in basic training in one of the 5 training sites throughout the United States.
Oh, just anywhere around the United States?
No, they got one in Fort Leavenworth, one in South Carolina. They got 3 other training sites. The thing is, the Army's 800,000 strong.
Right.
So where some of the other active duty branches may only have 1 or 2 training sites, the Army couldn't train their people with just 1 or 2 training sites. So they have 5 different training sites. And you do 10 weeks of basic training, and then you go to your skill school, what we call individual training. Mm-hmm. And this could be like if the National Guard, if you join to be a mechanic, you'll have a mechanic school. You join to be to drive a truck, they got a truck driving school. Military, police, infantry. So you go to any of those advanced individual trainings, and what's funny is you can go to infantry school, and it's 6 to 8 weeks long, but our EOD guys are in school for months on end.
Wow.
So
is there a bass fishing school that Don McDowell can attend?
You know what? We're trying to get it right now. There should be.
I totally agree. Because that is the science.
Part of it is to tune up those things, you know.
There's that tuna again.
Yeah. You guys going to tell me how to do it, or are you just playing with me?
We'll give you a pair of pliers and let you tune a piano. I am not giving you a tuner rod.
No.
Wow. The National Guard does offer some wonderful opportunities. Is this full-time, or are we on a part-time basis now, or opportunities for both?
You know what, Don? Most people only see the National Guard on the surface. But you can have an individual who's what we call a traditional M-Day soldier who does 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer. Then you can have someone like myself and a few others who are fortunate enough to be what we call active duty guard, where we're full-time support. And then the National Guard also has what they call tech positions, Fed tech positions, where you're a traditional soldier, but you do jobs through the state for the National Guard. But it's one of those kind of things where you got to be in the Guard to have that job.
How many guardsmen do we have here currently in Arizona total?
Roughly right now we have about, I want to say 5,100 National Guardsmen right now. I know we got a couple units deployed, but right now we're at the state, we're at 5,100.
You've been rotating out a lot of people into Afghanistan, haven't you?
Right. They've been rotating units in and out. They've even canceled some because Afghanistan's winding down. So, but yeah, they're still rotating a few in and out.
Well, it's interesting. You would say that we do roll call every week. We're still seeing a lot of KIAs and WIAs over there. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the 7:45. Right now, we're going to stand down and thank some of our sponsors, including the Fairmount Scottsdale Princess out here in North Scottsdale, 7575 East Princess Drive, 5 Diamond Resort. Man, you guys got to come and check this out. I'm Don McDowell, and we'll be right back.
Well, I see a whole lot of people
All righty, we're back hanging out here at the Scottsdale Princess Resort. A lot of stuff going on out here still today. An awful lot of people kind of hanging out. We're in the conference center, John, and this is 53,000 square feet here in the Palomino Ballroom. I mean, it's just massive. And total space out here, event space, 150,000 square feet. You think we ought to have a banquet out here? What would happen if we got, all of our hunters together and had a hunting banquet out here?
Oh, my goodness.
The rabbits, the ducks, the quail.
Well, yeah, I mean, either or. Just take all your bass members. You could probably fill this whole thing with the bass people. Well,
I'll tell you what, we put a lot of effort in here, catering to the kids, and kind of like Master Sergeant Dempsey experienced. Yesterday was pretty cool, and we started out, it was really warm out, humidity was up, and I looked around, we had you'll appreciate this, 5 parents, 6 kids, in time, about a half an hour went by, and I looked around, we had 1 parent and about 15 kids.
Yep.
And, kids climbing into basketball, it's like, holy cow, it's like they grow kids in the bushes out here. But they have a kids corner down here. And there's rods and reels, and the rods and reels are pretty decent, close-faced, not your normal Snoopy go-get-'em rods, or not that there's anything wrong with Snoopy, but these are pretty decent. The lake has some fairly good-sized largemouth. We caught them all the way from 10 or 12 inches up to, I think our biggest one was 484. Along with the catfish, channel catfish.
Those are some big catfish.
They're mean. Catfish are...
By the way, Oscar Mayer was the hit this week.
Yeah, a lot of bluegill. And the first day, Oscar Mayer was the bait of choice. We threw everything in the bass boat that we could think of at these things. The first day was Oscar Mayer. The second day, it was dough balls. Yeah, it was crazy because we're here. We got 47 pounds of soft plastic bait, Daiichi hooks, and I want to thank Ron Stalling and TJ and Wes back there and Tom for sending those out to us. Darndest thing in the world. We're over here at the restaurant begging for hot dogs. I thought we were homeless people, but
all you had to do was go for Jimmy Dean sausage. That would have been the key.
Yeah, and then the guy's name was Jeff, father and son team, Jeff and Hunter. I said, "What are you doing? What are you using?" He goes, "Pepperoni sticks." So he had it figured out. He went and found one of the big shade trees on the lagoon, and he and his boy
just hammered him.
Yeah. pepperoni sticks. Jack Link.
Jack Link. That was that.
Yeah,
that was my next question. Jack Link.
Yeah, it was. Still got it in my backpack, but it was all good. And again, I can't thank these guys enough for just a wonderful place and the amenities here. Whether you're a business or even a Phoenix resident, if you need to get away from it all, this is the place to come.
Optimum.
You pull in, you're parked, you're like in another planet.
Yeah, you're gone.
Just, totally awesome. So what time are you guys rolling up your activity today and getting back to base?
We'll probably roll up probably about 1 o'clock today. We'll say goodbye to everybody. We'll get checked out. We'll get our equipment tore down, get it all put back together. So we'll probably roll out about 1 o'clock today. Head back to Papago. We'll drop off the Humvee, the rock wall, and then we'll go put our equipment away and call it a weekend and go to work tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, boy. Well, one of the neat things that we've been able to experience out here is all the entertainment. They've had entertainment bands and all types of entertainment every evening, including fireworks from the 4th up until last night. It was just awesome display. You guys were up on stage throwing babies in the air and stuff out to the crowd. And
well, I threw my kids out because I thought someone would help me feed them, but they threw them back to me.
Yep.
So I guess that wasn't a catch and release program. I was thinking catch and release program.
Well, I'm amazed between you and Sergeant Duran. Holy cow, you've got more girls than it takes to man a baseball team.
You know what? I've got 6 kids. Duran has 5, and
that's 11.
And our boss, Jeff Lund, he's got 9. So
how many girls?
Oh my God! Hold on a second. I got 6. That's 6, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say, without saying it, National Guard does not offer sex education.
No, what the National Guard says is to go forth, multiply, and.
No, I think that was Moses.
Oh, sorry. I thought I saw that in regulation somewhere. Well, it is regulation, I guess, if you look at it like that. But no, they said keep trying, you'll get a boy, and that's a lie.
No, didn't anybody ever tell you the Spurs story?
Well,
JK?
They said keep trying, you'll get a boy, Dempsey. And I kept trying, so I got so mad I started naming them after my brothers. There's Lee.
Oh, these girls, these poor girls.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I had the pleasure of being with his girls at dinner and out on the lagoon. Those are the most polite, well-behaved children I've been around in decades.
And Chris just fell over. No, they really were.
That's not what I know.
Yeah.
But no, you know what?
What you don't know is what you don't see, but what you don't see is the way it should be. And I happened to talk to Mrs. Dempsey. She has got your number, brother.
You think?
We ain't supposed to talk about that stuff here. But yes, I'm a good.
Okay, back to tuning pianos.
No. You know what? Throughout my military career, a lot of military guys, men and women both. You couldn't do it without the support of your families, your
Absolutely.
wives, your husbands. I got Sandra Reese out here. She just got back from Afghanistan, and her husband's out here with her. And the princess, when they brought us out here, the one thing they said was, we're gonna bring your families with you. So you just couldn't do it. You're deployed all the time. You work all the time. I don't mean that the civilian sector. Those guys. You got guys out there every day, driving trucks, working in stores, whatever they're doing. They're working hard, to feed their families but when you got a good husband, you got a good wife, and they're helping you out. I see how my daughter's acting, and I try to support my wife. I try to help her out when I can. But man, when it's time to get out of her way, I'm getting in the elevator. You deal with her.
Yeah,
Bail.
Well, one of the things that I don't think America is really quite tracking on, Afghanistan may be winding down, but as it's been from the beginning of Desert Storm, about 65 up to 72% is the highest number of troops on the ground have been National Guard, not only from Arizona but from across the country as a whole. you guys been out there doing your thing. And Chris, let me ask you this: most of the guys, I don't know a lot of your younger soldiers, mostly in passing, but most of the upper echelon is multi-tour combat veterans. Percentage-wise, on active staff right now, how many guys have been there and done that?
You know, off the top of my head, I don't have no real figures, so I'm just going off of
conversation.
I bet you 80% of the people in the Arizona National Guard have deployed. And if you look at the National Guard as a whole, at the height, 30% of all forces in either Afghanistan or Iraq at that time
was National Guard
soldiers.
Yeah.
So I would hazard to say 80% of the people in the Arizona National Guard have deployed at one time or another over the 10 years that we've been in Afghanistan and Iraq.
And that's a real testament to family too, because I know it's a stretch on the emotions and in time and the energies that have to happen. That's where you need that strong support, and they're able to do everything the right way.
And we're just talking about Afghanistan and Iraq. You're not talking about a Hurricane Katrina, and you're not talking about some of these other forest fires that go. What most people don't know is during Hurricane Katrina, the National Guard was one of the fastest reactors to the
sure, easiest to mobilize
responders. It was the Special Forces units for the National Guard out of the state of Florida that ran into Louisiana and set up a command center because it had started to deteriorate because of what happened. And then most people don't know that the National Guard had vehicles stacked up bumper to bumper, 30 miles. It's estimated they had 30 miles worth of vehicles stacked up bumper to bumper because they shut down both inbound and outbound freeways to New Orleans. That they were just stacked up waiting to help. The response time was just phenomenal about the resources they could move in. And like I was saying, you talk about Afghanistan, you talk about Iraq, but most people through these years, it seems to escape them about the natural disasters that occur within the borders of the United States that the National Guard handles.
Yeah, anytime there's, like you said, the major fires, even then, I know that when they had the Rodeo Chedisky, when they had the Wallow fire, I know that the National Guard was doing an awful lot of work setting up the equipment on the background on those.
I was talking about the National Guard.
Okay, you need to hold that thought. When we come back, we'll talk more about the National Guard. And we're going to lay down roll call when we come back and move this thing along. I'm Don McDowell with
Master Sergeant Chris Dempsey,
John Colazar.
We'll be right back.
I live back in the woods, you see.
All righty, we're back. We want to talk a little bit about roll call. I want to start off first. Again, Chris, thanking all of you guys personally and all the guys in your command and at the National Guard for your service is one thing, but you guys make a hell of a commitment doing what you do. Even volunteering to, the natural disasters, and then we're going to talk about that. We've got 19 of the Granite Mountain hotshots that were killed on the front lines of the Yarnell fire. The fire blew up on and around them on June 30th. John, have you heard anything definitive on why or how that actually occurred?
Yeah, there was a tremendous change. There were thunderstorms coming out of Flagstaff, and directionally the winds had been, which we typically see out of the southwest, and that's the tracking pattern that the fire had. And then all of a sudden they got this thunderstorm that blew through coming south from Flagstaff, and it turned the winds from 25 mile an hour heading out of the southwest to 45 miles an hour coming due south from the north, and it overtook them. And I listened and watched Jim Paxson from Game and Fish, who of course did a lot of firefighting in his years.
He did a good job.
He explained that they didn't have minutes, they only had seconds. There was just nothing that could be done.
Did the Arizona Guard roll on that fire?
I don't know yet. What they do is when they do their emergency response, when the state does it, from my understanding, they network through there. They decide what resources they need, and then they put them on a standby and wait to be allocated wherever they need to go. The thing is you could have millions of dollars worth of equipment but if you don't got it in the right place at the right time,
it's worthless. Yep.
So they do a really great job of it's kind of like a waiting game.
Oh, it has to be.
Like those unfortunate guys that died in that fire. You know, they were your, as far as I understand, I've never been in that arena, but I can associate some things. They're like your first responders. They go in, evaluate, look, try to do what they can, and then you start filling in after that, you know, and I can sympathize with those guys about how fast the environment can change and how fast it can move. But now you're fighting nature, you know. Come on, man. Even fighting war, you're still fighting humans that can decide to either act or not act. Even an enemy can decide to act or not act. But
Mother Nature never.
You know, when you talk about heroes, those are heroes, man. They're fighting something that only nature controls, you know, and you don't have a say-so in any part of it. So all the credit in the world to those guys. They did a great job, and I think they're. We were talking earlier, like the first spokesman that came out that night. I give that man a lot of credit, man. He held it together. He tried to explain what he had. He tried to give the community some of the answers initially that they needed. I think they did a great job. It's just a very tragic event that.
Yeah, that's why they call it that too.
That sometimes happens, you know, and being around the military for the last 27 years, I've always told my wife, and some people don't understand, you know, if something's going to happen to me, I'd rather it happen to me doing something that I love to do, that I enjoy doing.
Right.
Those guys were doing what they enjoyed to do, you know. It was just part of the hazard and the risk that you do when you decide to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're going to get going with roll call. We've got a number of names, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but the soldiers that were on the roll call list today in Afghanistan there are 3, and I don't have a lot of details. I can tell you all 3 of their demise were in a non-combat incident. Right now, we don't know what that is, and we're going to leave it go at that. And the first soldier we're going to talk about is Army Sergeant Justin R. Rogers, died June 28, 2013, again, during Operation Enduring Freedom. 25 years old, Bart, New York, was assigned to Headquarters and Headquarters Battalion, 101st Airborne Division, the Air Assault Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Army First Sergeant Tracy L. Stapley died July 3rd, 2013, serving during Operation Enduring Freedom. 44 years old of Clearfield, Utah, assigned to the 356th, and we just lost the video on that. But it was also, there we go, 308th Medical Logistics Company, U.S. Army Reserve, St. George, Utah, died at Sayaliya, Qatar, in a non-combat incident.
And the third soldier this week, Army Specialist Hilda I. Clayton, died July 2nd during Operation Enduring Freedom. 22 years old, of Augusta, Georgia, assigned to the 55th Signal Company Combat Camera Group, 21st Signal Brigade, Fort Meade, Maryland. Again, this is a non-combat incident. We'll try to figure out what that is. Could have been most anything. Moving back up to Prescott, these gentlemen, Sunday, June 30th, 19 of the Granite Mountain hotshot on the Yarnell fire. As we go through, we don't have their hometowns, but you'll get it. The average age is about 22 years old. We're going to start off with Andrew Ashcroft, age 29.
Scott Norris, age 28.
Robert Caldwell, 23 years old.
Jesse Steed, 36.
Travis Carter, 31.
Joe Thurston, 32.
Dustin Deeford, 24 years old.
Travis Turberthil, 27.
Christopher McKenzie, age 30.
William Warnicki, 25.
And that was no relation to Jim Warnicki or April Warnicki. Eric Marsh, 43 years old.
Clayton Witten, 28.
Grant McKee, 21 years old.
Kevin Wojcik, 21.
Sean Meisner, 26.
Garrett Zuppiger, 27.
Wade Parker, 22.
John Person, 24.
And Anthony Rose, 23 years old. So think about that. Certainly the whole community has come to support the firefighters unilaterally across the board. They're still fighting that fire. What they got 80, 85, 90% contained at this point. Yeah, a lot of resources gone into that fire. A number of homes lost, and these guys are doing a tremendous job of getting this thing contained under the circumstances. One thing I have noticed, you guys, the community in Phoenix and across the state, Wickenburg, Glendale, Phoenix Fire Department has sent resources to the Prescott area to protect the community while their firefighters are out on the front line on the forest fighting that fire. And it's I'm amazed at the
response timing and the teams and the effort
well,
that everybody's put in.
How tight the community is. You know, when 9/11 occurred, the firefighters, obviously first responders, like Master Sergeant's talking about, and it's a very tight knit community, a big brotherhood, kind of like the soldiers, and it's like a big club. You know, y'all look alike, dress alike, all have the same barber.
The thing about firefighters and police officers, we talk about the military all the time. These guys do it every day, and it's like they're fighting battles in their own backyards.
Yeah.
So it takes on a whole new meaning. You know, when you're putting out, like these guys up there putting out fires that could burn down their friends, their families, their neighbors' homes. You know, I agree with the spokesman the first night. It adds a whole new meaning to why you're out there and what you're doing. But these guys are. You're fighting these battles in your own backyard, man. And they say the worst thing you could ever happen is to have a war in your own backyard, and these guys seem to have wars in their own backyard all the time.
You know, the sad part too is that the community will forever be affected by this. I know that when we had the Dude Fire back in 1991, I drive past on a regular basis still the graves from the 6 members who died in that fire. And you see, there's always a memorial and a testament to them because it's something that's tragic, and I'm sure we'll see the same thing out of the Yarnell fire.
What do we have on the Chetaskai?
Chetaskai, we had nobody who passed. No, the Dude Fire was the previous one that I remember, and that was in 1991. The Wallow Fire, they didn't have any fatalities either that I'm aware of.
So, John, how's that Kingman fire going right now? They didn't have it under control there for a little while.
No, and I haven't heard any updates over the last 2 days on that. But I know that was a big one. The key is that you have to look at the desert terrain. What you have, Kingman's in a drier area. Fortunately, I mean it's more spread out. When it's along the rim country where it's real thick vegetation and it's ponderosa based, and then you have what we call the buildup of burn material, which is typically the pine needles at the base of these trees, and it's real thick. That's when you get those 8 to 12 inches. That's when you get the incinerating fires.
You know, I got some. I'm originally from West Virginia. Kind of
really. I thought you were Boston.
But you know what? Maybe you can help me answer this, John. I got a few calls from my family, and they're like, "You guys live in the desert. How does the desert catch on fire? You know, how do you get fires through the desert?" When
you get the chaparral and the manzanita and some of the other materials in that Yarnell area, that stuff's really, really, really thick. I mean, I've hunted javelina in manzanita. You can run into a manzanita grove and it'll throw you back. That's how strong it is. I mean, I've got scars all over my body because I used to cut manzanita trees once in a while. And it's probably one of the hardest woods. When it's alive, it's very resilient. It'll throw you back. And it's very strong. And it burns when manzanita burns, it burns hot and it burns for a long time.
So the traditional thought of forest fires with 40, 50-foot trees burning may not always be the case out here.
No, most of the times on our big ones, the 500,000 acre fires, those were truly ponderosa fires. Those were huge, and it was very, very thick. I mean, don't get me on the soapbox on this one, but the Forest Service should have done a lot of different things over the past 75 years that they didn't. And that's just an accident. Nobody knew at the time. We know now. Yeah, but we've got the knowledge. Again, the Forest Service is tasked with a whole bunch of things, and anyway, we're going to stand down from roll call. When we come back, we're going to go right straight to fishing. Oh, yeah. And see if we can get Master Sergeant Dempsey to put the pliers down and quit trying to tune the piano. And I know he can't do that, so maybe we can teach him to tune the fish. I'm Don McDowell with
Master Sergeant Chris Dempsey.
John Colazar.
Hey, hang with us. We'll be back at the Paramount Scottsdale Princess Resort, 7575 East Princess Drive.
Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Bill Luke Dodge Chrysler Jeep. Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman and tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Alrighty, we are back live from the Paramount Scottsdale Princess, 7575 East Princess Drive in North Scottsdale, having a great time, and we're going to get this thing wound up today and break down. We've got an awful lot of equipment. We've got the M35A2 out here greeting people in the front, along with U.S. Arizona, and I understand the Arizona's going to I-17 and Carefree about 9 o'clock hour. There's a procession for the fallen firefighters. Don't have a lot of details. All I know is they're honoring these guys with some type of service out there today. But I thought it was pretty interesting. The USS Arizona will be out there.
Good move.
Yeah, it is. And again, we've got an awful lot of people to thank out here. Master Sergeant Mike Majors from the 158th MEB done a hell of a job putting this thing together. We're just on the north side of the TPC, a lot of activities out here. Fun for the family. How many pools are out here?
My God.
700.
You said pools, right?
Yes, swimming pools.
I think they got like 3 or 4 large pools. There's 3 I know of.
Slides and lagoon. They've got a zip line out here. Did you get to ride the zip line?
No,
How about you, JK?
Negative on that. I took a look where it was going over. I said, nah, I don't need it.
Okay.
Nah, don't need to do that.
Zip line was a good thing. And again, all kinds of activities out here for the family, and the meeting centers, just totally awesome. 7 different restaurants, from what I'm able to count. Tried every single one of them, and it's all good. So at the bottom of the hour, we're going to do our Rim Country Fishing Report with James Guggenauer, our master rod builder from downtown Payson, where the weather is always
a lot better than it is here.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to roll over back on what's going on offshore, San Diego. We obviously support H&M Landing, and one of the better boats over there right now is out on a 2.5 day. That's a Sea Adventure 80. This is a 25-foot long vessel, 25 feet wide at the beam. In other words, at its widest point would be about right there, right in front of the wheelhouse. 25 feet wide. Sleeps 35, has bunks for 35. And I suppose if they were all really good friends, kind of like the guys in the National Guard, you could probably sleep 70 of them. What do you think?
Yes. Stack them up, man.
Whack a pack.
I'm not going anywhere on water with that many bodies crammed. That's called being tuna yourself.
Well, these are limited load boats, and when I say that, even though this vessel will hold 35, they will generally limit it to around 25 people.
That makes for what I would assume, based on what I'm seeing on the picture there. Everybody gets a little bit of rod and reel space along the beam.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're fishing on. These pictures don't really show what we want to talk about, but the fantail is the back of the boat,
and that's where you want to be.
You want to be in the back of the boat, preferably on the port side, as the fishing progresses, and like we've been talking about, there's some things you need to take and a whole bunch of stuff you don't need to take. And learning the routine on the boat is
over or under?
Well, it's kind of like the drills. Master Sergeant, they drill these guys and they get it down, and pretty soon it's second nature.
Right.
And tuna fishing needs to be second nature. And it's going to take 2 or 3 trips to get the hang of it. The first one is just you walk on the dock and you're like, wow. There's boats and there's, looks like yar matey, these guys carrying 4 to 6 rods, tackle bags, all that kind of stuff. And Rick, our good friend over at the tackle store at H&M Landing, does a good job getting you prepared. The swim baits right now are, from what I understand, are doing their job on the fishing on the slide. What happens, Chris, is they'll put out, depending on the size of the boat, they'll on this Sea Adventure 80 that we're talking about today, is there's room enough for six trolling rods, and they'll put the spread out, and they'll either do an inverted V spread with the two outside running back there about 60 meters, and then they'll stagger them on the inside, making a V, and or depending, they'll put the center one out further, and then stagger the other ones so that you've got a kind of an arrowhead type thing, and
basically trying to get away from having any of the lines crossed.
Now, never doing this. And in all seriousness, let me ask you: when you go out on these charters, can they target the game fish that they're looking for or they're trying to fish for? Can you say we're going fishing for, tuna? I don't know what's in that area.
Well, they know they pretty well have a clue as to where the fish are at. Is that based on aerial?
The commercial fleet, and this is a sport fleet, let's call it that. The commercial fleet does depend on aerial survey. However, like a lot of different groups, these guys talk back and forth.
Sure.
In the day and age that we live in, it's like Christmas trade. The electronics packages that are on these boats are absolutely staggering. This particular boat, you can see the Furuno radar, which is right there. All kinds of antennas.
What kind of radar?
Furuno it's a brand name.
I knew a Catherine Furuno.
Maybe it was
yeah. Yeah, see?
It always digresses back to that. Little two-step involved, was there?
No, we're not
okay.
All right.
Yeah, the Furuno radar, Rayathon and, some of the others, there's an awful lot of radar out there. But the fish finders they have are a little bit more sophisticated than we have on the bass boat. Lowrance, Rayathon are the big ones. Yeah, to answer your question, they know exactly what they're going after. They know about where they are. Fishing's fishing. You may think you know where they are. They were there yesterday. That doesn't mean they're going to be there today. You have to go find them. And historically, Chris, what will happen, you go to the landing, and if you're going out on a day and a half, you need to get there about 6 o'clock in the evening, get signed in to the landing, get all your paperwork done. You have to have a Mexican permit. So I don't know, it's $13-18, photo ID. You sign on the manifest. By that time, the boat's usually in by now. They've restocked the stores and refueled. And as you enter the back of the boat, they back all the boats in. You go up the back stairs, and you'll go into the galley and sign the manifest register.
Just to know who's on and who's not.
Yeah, they'll give you a number because they keep track of you.
Man, this sounds like a bed and breakfast fishing trip.
It is.
It is, yeah. Bed and cheeseburgers. Yeah.
So Donnie, they feed you, and they on these like you take when you say like a day and a half or 2-day trips or a day trip, they actually feed you while you're out there.
The day boats, they have food available. Okay, you're going to pay for everything sooner or later. You can have, on 3/4 day boats, they're inexpensive to go out, but you either take your lunch or buy lunch on the boat. Either that or go hungry.
Now, Donnie, is this something you could take your whole family and go do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take the girls.
I would.
The real young ones.
Are you being a sexist?
No. I don't want to see him get hauled over.
Come on.
Why would you not take girls, John?
The real young ones. The older ones, yeah, but the real young ones, if they hook onto a 70-pound tuna, are you going to strap them to the deck?
I've seen it happen.
They're strapped in, right? They ain't going nowhere. Let go of the pole. Oh, sorry.
Wrong. No. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to say you need to limit it to a height and strength ratio.
But let me ask you this: could you take them along just for the adventure of it?
You could. I don't know that. I'll have to think about that.
They'd probably wind up paying, but they wouldn't be fishing.
Because my girls are teenagers now. They're just 14 and 13, and the younger ones are. And as a father, and me having all girls, I'm always looking for stuff that I can do with my girls. That they like to do. So when I look at something like this, and I realize San Diego's 3 hours, 4 hours from here, and
6.
6.
Unless you're flying.
Something you can take off and go do for a couple days, you know what I'm saying? And something different,
I'd take the girls, and knowing your girls like I do, there's not going to be a problem. They're going to be fishing. They're not going to sit there and watch. They're going to be tuna fishing. And when we come back, we will expand on that. I'm Don McDowell.
John Golazar.
And Master Sergeant Chris Dempsey.
We'll be back.
Said hot and getting hotter, but he didn't say nothing about it.
Yeah, I don't know why we have to get up that time of day to go fishing. It's kind of like golf. You need to be out there and cast about 9 o'clock. So it's all good stuff. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're gonna get your girls and you can take them to land. You're going to sign in there. You're going to go down and meet the captain, meet the crew, and sign in on the manifest. They're going to give you a number. You're going to be number 2.
Like Carnival?
You get a number at the Carnival?
Or Carnival Cruise Line?
Yeah, Carnival Cruise Line.
Oh.
No, we're not talking about that kind of Carnival. So that number stays with you. That's your food number. That's your beverage number. That's your fish bag number. You catch a fish, they're going to say, Chris, what's your number? And you're going to say, 2. Thank you. And they're going to take that particular fish, put it in your fish bag. And it's going to be like that. So here's some, we talked a little bit about the fish numbers out of H&M Landing. Seaforth is right around the corner, up the beach, so to speak. They had a total of 7 boats out, and these are half, 3/4 day boats. The outer limits is a day and a half boat. They had 23 anglers boated. 42 yellowtail, 12 Dorado, which are just outstanding table fare, along with
15 bluefin.
15 bluefin, yeah. So again, that's a day and a half trip.
Okay, let's talk about that day and a half. You get there 6 o'clock the night that you go out at night. You basically are going through the water for that period of time, and then you start fishing at daylight the next day.
You need to be you need to be there between 5 and 6. It's a lengthy ordeal. By the time, when you get there, that boat's going to be coming in 4 to 6 in the afternoon, early evening.
Right.
They're going to go over and refuel, most probably. Restock the boat with groceries and whatever. And you will head out. You need to be signed in on the boat by 9. That boat will... And this is going to vary an hour one way or another, depending on how far they have to run.
Right.
If they're running down the 120-mile mark, equate it to they're going to be making somewhere between 7 and 10 knots. Oh. So it's going to be a while. You're going to have a little bit of a boat ride. So they'll pull port about 10 o'clock, 10:30 in that area. They're going to stop out at the bait receiver. And they're going to get scoops of bait. And the bait you're going to be getting is...
here comes the anchovies.
Anchovies, yep, good with the mustard sauce. And how do you prefer your anchovies? Mustard sauce, tomato sauce, or just oil?
On pizza.
On pizza.
We both knew it. We both knew that.
No. On pizza, tomato sauce.
Okay. All right, moving along. I prefer them on a 2-aught hook. So,
you know what? I've never seen a live anchovy.
You have missed so much in your life. I know you're a world traveler, highly decorated.
I asked the same question 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Tell me somebody who's seen a live one. When you say anchovies, don't most people look at a pizza and say, hey,
yep,
I got
there
anchovies.
you got anchovies on it.
Who's seen a live one? Have you seen a live one? No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been out 900 days on the assault.
We're going to get into that. I'm going to have a whole basket full delivered to your front door live, in person.
Are they very big?
No.
They'll average about 4.5, 5 inches long, and if you would have listened last week, you would have a personal description of an anchovy. They're about that long. They have a brown back, a little green on the side, a little silvery white belly,
and an ugly head,
black tail, brown nose.
Are they a school fish? They move around in schools. I mean, let me ask you something seriously. Where do you even catch them at? Are they?
You catch them up with the bait receivers. Everham's bait receiver. They do that. They go out in seine form.
They get them from the pizza places.
We're going to move this along. As difficult as this is, I'm going to ignore both of you. And
wait a minute, I'm going back to my headset. Hold on.
No, he's starting to look official again. Here we go.
Okay, now.
Okay. Isn't there some kind of a gag order at some point?
We can only hope.
Maybe tell you put your hand over your mouth.
Yeah, okay.
But if you notice something, Don, I'm looking at this. Nothing that's under day and a half is catching any tuna. The breast.
No, they're not, John. Those again, getting back to where I started. When you pull port, you'll be turning around buoy number 1, go out about a mile, turn to the southeast, and you're in Mexico. So you're chugging down the line. And historically, what'll happen at about gray light, maybe 45 minutes before gray light, the trolling rods will go in the water. And right about gray light, if everything goes as expected, you're going to hear somebody holler hookup. And then about that time, there's going to be mass chaos on that boat with all the guys
climbing out of their
getting
beds,
up, trying to get out, and get to their rods and reels. And as we've talked about in our tuna class, the thing to do is be standing there with either a swim bait, which I like to use, or you stand there with your hand in the live well with a feisty little anchovy. Now the bluefins will eat a mackerel, and you may have an assortment of mostly anchovies, the sardines, and there may be a mix of mackerels in there.
Hey Don, why are they releasing the calico bass?
They're short. California DNR's inside on the inshore side, they regulate the size and the quantity, the possession limit of the calico bass, and it's like anything else. Everybody thinks, yeah, this is a renewable resource. It is only if you take care of it.
You know, I'm amazed at you know, the news a lot of times creates these conversations about naturalists, environmentalists, the sportsmen. But the more I hang out with you, Don, and you and John, and I see this kind of stuff, I start to see that these hunters and these fishermen, they care just as much about what they're doing as the environmentalists or the naturalists. And you know,
we're going to go here.
We care more. You're going to get me on a soapbox. This guy's going to be up on a flagpole.
When I was seeing how many they're releasing back, you know, that's almost like an honor system that they're releasing back. You know,
well, it should be, but I'm going to give you a new term. Environmentalists are not that term. It's called envirolitigants, and we're going to let it go at that today.
I cannot get into anything that is political. That's my disclaimer right now. I'm just here to entertain and talk about hillbilly moments.
And you've done well.
Wow.
Yes.
Let me ask you this: when you grew up, did you have an ugly stick or a fishing pole or anything like that?
That ugly stick. Remember when that ugly stick first came out?
Yep.
Well, my brother Rick got one of them sticks, you know, and we was out in the front yard, and he bent it from end to end, and we all thought it was funny, you know, and he did it, but he let go of that end, and it caught my brother Howard across the face with it.
He's got a permanent mark.
Yeah, now Howard, like a little sissy, he ran in the house, but of course his face is all bruised up from that ugly stick. He goes in the house and he gives my mom, and my mom comes out, and my mom's like 5 feet tall, 100 pounds. She said, "What happened?" And of course, you know, you get 3 variations of the truth, but at the end of the day, Howard still got whacked in the face with that ugly stick. And my mom said, "Now, from what I understand, this thing will not break, right?" My brother,
she's going to try to prove that.
Rick, like a dummy, said, "Oh yeah, no, it won't break, Mom. It's a good fishing pole, you know." My mom said, "Let me see it."
Wrong. I knew where that was
going.
going.
Tried to break that fishing pole. So Howard may have got the swat across the face with that stick. But
yeah, your other brothers got
the rest
that.
of it.
Yep.
Holy cow! You talking about a herd of boys being herded around the front yard, cars driving by, you know, sirens going off.
Dempsey clan's at it again.
Holy cow! Hey, you know what? And along those lines, that ugly stick. I was talking to my mom the other day, and my mom's 71 now, you know, and I think she's regressing to back when we were, you know, we're good kids, man, but. All right. She was laughing because she said before the age of 5 I'd wrecked 2 cars. Remember you could take a car and you could put it in the gear?
Yes.
Well, in West Virginia, there's not one flat surface in the place.
No.
My mom says she wished she had a camera back then because how many cars they've chased down the road with a 3-year-old standing in the front seat. You know, oh yeah, man. And then.
Well, being from West Virginia, did you guys have microwaves and all those kind of things, cook hot dogs and stuff?
Listen. Remember when that microwave first
Smokehouse
came out?
maybe.
The microwave was about the size of a suitcase, right? So we got one, and we thought we was the richest family in the neighborhood, man. We thought we was the richest family in the trailer park. Look, we got a microwave, And you could put all kinds of stuff in that thing and blow it up, right?
King of the double wides.
Well, my brother Howard, he put a couple hot dogs. We were going to breakfast we were going to school like 5 o'clock in the morning. And Howard put a couple hot dogs in that thing, and I'm in the one bathroom and he's in the other. And I heard that microwave go ding, and I thought, oh man, breakfast is served. So I went running there to get that hot dog before Howard got back to it. Well, just as I got to it and pulled that hot dog out, now you gotta understand it's 5:30 in the morning. It's just a stupid Oscar Mayer, right? My brother Howard comes screaming around the corner, man, that's my hot dog. I said, well, the first one to eat it gets it.
Of course.
I start to eat it, and just as I start to eat that hot dog, man, he plows into me. Well, here comes Martha. My mom always wore those long flannel gowns,
Yep.
with the little bunny slippers, and
don't.
Here she comes flying around the corner too. What's going on in here? But she hit that linoleum floor.
Oh no, with the bunny slippers.
And now you got hot dogs flying here. Me and Howard's still, that thing rolled across the floor, and we're still fighting over who's going to eat that hot dog.
The dog got it.
Now my mom's in the floor with us, and the bunny slippers are flying off, and finally we gathered up. Mom was like, Mom, we got control of this. No, you don't. And here we are fighting for this. And like a few days later, we're out in the front yard. My brother had a bicycle. I couldn't keep a bicycle. Either broke it or lost it or loaned it out. And
You need to
hold that thought.
We have got to go to a break. I'll tell you what, Tuesday morning I'll be over command. I got a brand new Ugly Stick hat. You need to have that hat, man. I'm Don McDowell. That was and is Master Sergeant MC, and you are?
Sean Cola's our last I looked.
Yeah, thank God for Oscar Mayer and microwave. All righty, we're back. Boy, I'll tell you what, mass chaos at the Scottsdale Princess. All righty, we've got Brother James Guggenauer from downtown Payson, where the weather is always nice, on the line. James, what's happening, brother?
Hey, good morning, Don. And yes, it's beautiful up here this morning. Nice and cool. Had the dog out for a walk and just enjoying the day up here.
Good.
Hey, let me just start. I know you have Cameron Davis on from time to time, and what a great job he did on the firework display and the day at the park here for 4th of July. Huge crowd of people in Payson and a great firework demonstration. It was a lot of fun that day up here in Payson.
Well, outstanding. Independence Day celebration, that's important. I hope everybody, thought about how this all began with the Tea Party.
Yes, it did.
There you go.
Yep, good stuff. I got your email this morning on Nate celebrating 4th of July over in Afghanistan. Thank you for that. We'll get that posted up on the website.
Good picture, by the way, James. That was
nice
really
job.
Cool.
Yeah, that was pretty thoughtful of him to do it. We kind of had a get-together here at the house, and he was able to send that to everybody. He knew everybody would be here. So kind of touching, good idea on his part. So, hey, let me tell you about
well,
fishing.
what's on your fishing report today, James?
Okay. Hey, we had some really good fishing at Roosevelt Lake. Fishing was called good this past week, even with the amount of boats who were running around up there. A very experienced bass angler down in Tonto Basin told me that the best time to be on Roosevelt Lake is in the evening from dusk until just after dark. And he said that he's been using a Texas rig with a 10-inch ribbon tail worm on a main lake point in 15, he actually said 30 feet of water, 15 to 30 feet of water that he's fishing in, and he's been doing very well. So now that's pretty much a pro guy who goes down there. For the rest of us, the drop shot and the Carolina rig are the ones that are really working well these days. I got a chance to go a couple of days ago and caught all my fish on a drop shot using a robo worm and an oxblood color. And we were fishing, once again, main lake points, but we found the fish pretty shallow in more like 5 to 10 feet of water. But it was a good day out there, a good morning. Caught several fish using that technique. When we first got on the water about 5, there was a good top water bite going on, but we just couldn't get him to go. And by the time we switched to enough baits to try to make it work, that had died down. but it gave us a good idea of the area that they were in, so that we were able to switch over to a drop shot and do pretty good at the end of the day. So, and one more thing about the drop shot, is that as the day went on, the later it got, the softer the bite got. And when it got to be like around 11 o'clock, you could just see your line start to move. You couldn't even feel the fish on there. So if you're
kind of like sucking it in then.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So if you're out there, you got to be sure to pay attention to that. Roosevelt Lake, it dropped another 1% this week. We're standing this morning at 48% full. The Tonneau Creek, as we reported last week, is still not flowing, but the Salt River is flowing still at about 70% of its normal rate for this time of year. Water temperature is in the low 80s in the morning, increasing to the mid to high 80s in the afternoon, depending on the day. And the clarity of the water, we're still calling good, but because of the almost monsoons that we've been having, the wind has churned up the water a bit, so there, in some areas, in the backs of some coves, it's a little bit what I'll call stained, but I think that's more just due to the wind rather than any water that's moving in there.
Yeah, is there any prognosis from SRP how far they're going to take the Mother Lake? It's at 48% right now. Are they going to take it down to 45, 43, something like that?
It'll probably go below that, Don. I didn't actually ask SRP, but if I look back at other years, they usually get down into the 30% by the time they stop taking it out, which really extends all the way till about October. We're hoping for the monsoons. That's usually the thing that makes the difference between if it goes into the high 20s or 30s or stays up in the 40s. It's dependent on how much monsoon we get. Now, every day up here for the last week has been threatening. It rains for about 5 minutes, enough to just get the ground wet, and then it kind of blows over for some reason. So we're hoping here that any day now we're going to start with some monsoons that'll really help the water level down there.
Okay, any word from your crappie fishing guys?
Yes. I try to make a habit. There's 2 or 3 guys down there that are on that lake almost every day fishing for crappie. And I just happened to see them out there when we were there the other day. So crappie fishing was called fair this past week. We have a new moon that's going to be happening Monday night. So crappie lights are going to be an effective technique. Most of the guys that are fishing at night are fishing with live minnows, 2 foot below a bobber, and that's pretty much where they're going. There's been a lot of talk about the gizzard shad having an impact on the crappie, and I haven't talked to a crappie angler yet that has not disagreed that there are less crappie in Roosevelt than what there were years ago. So we're going to have a follow-up meeting with Game and Fish on July 16th up in Tonneau Basin, and we'll get some updates from Game and Fish and a go-forward plan on what we're going to do about gizzard shad and Roosevelt Lake. So stay tuned for that.
Hey, James, who's going to be there? Do you have any of the former commissioners or current commissioners that are going to be attending, or is it just going to be the department personnel?
Right now we have confirmations from department personnel. Kurt McGill is going to be up. I believe that Chris Cantrell, Chief Chris Cantrell, is going to be here. And we have invites out to the attendees that we had last time, which were commissioners along with Mr. Larry Riley and some of the other game and fish supervisors local up here. And but I haven't got confirmation back from them yet.
Well, the main thing is, for those that don't know, Curtis Gill, he's a Region 6 biologist on top of his game. We've met with him in the past couple of weeks, talked about the gizzard shad issue and the proposed restriction on possession limit. They're talking about limiting crappie take and possession to 15 a day. And what most people don't understand is about 7 out of 10 crappie that are caught out of the Mother Lake are taken for consumption, so it's hard to keep a resource,
returns, yeah.
When you have that rate of depletion. So coupled with the gizzard shad impact on the biomass that we've been chatting about. The last creel surveys out of Game and Fish under Curtis Gill's watch, 27 to 30% of the biomass in Roosevelt has been identified as gizzard shad. We're talking about doing some hydroacoustic work to further identify that biomass that can actually target a species, which is pretty interesting. Because to my knowledge, I don't know that the department has done anything crappie specific, but we're going to get to the bottom of it, find out exactly what's in the lake and what we can do to protect our largemouth smallies and the crappie. Anything on the rim lakes on trout?
Yeah, trout. Every year it seems like the trout fishing this time of year really slows down on the rim. For some reason this year it is not. There are lots of baits that are working up there. Power baits, salmon eggs, Z-rays, crankbaits, and dry flies. Now these are stock trout, and they're either this year's fish and a lot of reports of last year's fish. Now, I don't know if fishermen got smarter this year or the fish got dumber, but we're able to determine that a lot of the fish that are getting caught were actually last year's stocking that have made it through, along with this year. So if you're looking for a way to get away from the heat in the valley and you want to take your family up and do some great fishing, try one of the rim lakes. They're really producing well.
Good stuff. Once again, what's the timing and what's the location on that July 16th meeting with Game and Fish on the Mother Lake?
We're going to be down at the Tonto Basin Chamber of Commerce. That's where we held the initial meeting. And it's going to start at 6 p.m., and we hope to put a limit of an hour to an hour and 15-minute range. And last time, as you know, Don, we had like 40 people there. We think we're going to get a little bigger crowd this time. You're going to talk a little bit about the grants that you're working on. We have you on the agenda. And we'll go from there. We're looking for some responses from Game and Fish, and so far it's been a great discussions with them, and we think we're moving in a positive direction.
All right, great job, James. Best of the balance of the weekend. Give everybody a pat on the head from Shake, Rattle, Troll in downtown Payson. I'm Don McDowell. We're going to break, and we will be back.
On the night this came.
All righty, we're back. Looks like a lot of stuff going on up on the rim country. Trout are biting, and I don't know how to respond to Jim's comment whether the fishermen have gotten smarter or the fish have gotten dumber.
I don't think either. I think there was a good holdover. They may have not had a lot of people. There were a lot of rains last monsoon last year at the end of the season. There was a lot of bad weather, and I think there were some holdovers.
Oh, you know it. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to engaging the crappie fishermen on the 16th over at, I'm going to call it Pumpkin Center.
Pumpkin Center works.
Yep, Pumpkin Center.
Tonto Basin.
Yep, lot of good stuff going on Game and Fish is on the issues for gizzard shad. I think probably what we're going to see happen is maybe some more work done on Apache, because, Chris, what's happening is, when we talk about Roosevelt Lake, it's on the Salt River, and it's the mother lake. Downstream, we've got the dam, you've got Apache Lake, dam, Canyon Lake, dam, Swirl Lake, dam, and then it into the confluence of the Salt River and heads to Tempe Town Lake, but it goes to the Granite Reef Diversion Dam. So it's kind of like your recruiters. If one of them gets the measles, they're all going to get the measles, sooner or later. And it's a matter of time. So, my feeling is on the gizzard shad, we need to do something about Roosevelt, but at the end of the day, we've lost Roosevelt. The best we can do is maybe go downstream, and we've identified them in Apache Lake. They're not identified yet, depending on.
So I'm guessing the gizzard shad is along the lines of an invasive species.
It is an invasive species. It's part of the herring family, and they've got an interesting metamorphosis. When they're fingerlings, they hang closer to the bank, to the shoreline, and they're more accessible by the apex predators, the guys that we like to catch in the largemouth, the smallmouth, as opposed to the forage fish, the thin fin or the shiners or whatever else is floating around out there. But as they get about 9 inches long, they lose their teeth and become a filter feeder, and they head down to the bottom.
So, Don, is there any idea or indication how they got introduced?
Bait.
We call them bucket biologists. Usually, we found that they're either from West Virginia or Tennessee.
Probably. West Virginia.
Moving stuff in a bucket and
Stuff in a bucket.
well, yeah, absolutely. We've got them. Crawdads. We've got a long list of invasive species. The gizzard shad are bad. We've got the quagga mussels. They came here by most likely houseboat from the Great Lakes. It's a wonder we don't have zebra mussels along with the quagga mussels, but the quaggas are even in the Great Lakes system. Mother Nature's kind of a curious issue. The Great Lakes are clogged with zebra mussels. Then along comes the quagga mussel. Now the quagga mussels are ganging up and building upon the zebra mussels, and they're suffocating them, which is, it's a catch-22. It's a good thing, but it's a bad thing. Now we got it, instead of having one zebra mussel, now we got the quaggas, but it's kind of offsetting. And initially, when we had the gizzard shad, there was a wait-and-see attitude, which I didn't agree with, but I personally didn't get it. I wanted to go do something, go get the gizzard shad, and Chief Young said, "Okay, you're chief for a day. How are you going to get all those gizzard shad out of Roosevelt?"
Seine nets.
And I'm thinking, damn, that's a really big lake. It is. So the wait and see, we've waited, we've seen, we know they're not really going to work their way in and find a niche into the ecosystem. So,
well, let me ask you this from a novice's point of view. Once an invasive species is in and taken hold, have they ever really pulled that species out of whatever ecosystem they're in, or they invaded?
Well, you can do it, but I mean, you're going to have a total fish kill, clean the lake.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do
that. Well, you look at the snakeheads. In my mind, that's a big deal. A couple of snakeheads got loose, and they went in and used rotenone and poisoned a couple of ponds and said, "Okay, we got them." Well, now they're in 13 states. They didn't get them.
Right. And you know what? The first time I heard that term, John, was when they were, maybe it was the snakeheads. They was doing something back east where they had an invasive species, and they was down to the last possible solution they could think of. And I think that's where the first time I heard that, but I haven't heard it since you just said it right now. So they didn't get what they thought they were getting.
No, I don't think it's possible. Once these guys get loose, they're gone. We can't contain measles, and you can't contain crawdads or any other damn thing we get in the water. So it's just. Well,
can you? Now this might sound weird, but it's like any other system. Once they've invaded it, the system will still only support so much. So after it's run its course, can you restock a lake after it's run its course, or can?
When you say run its course, you're talking something like the quagga mussels. No, when you're talking something, they're not going to die off. The same thing with the gizzard shad. They're going to take over the lake. They're not going to die off. You're not going to have anything in there.
So that line of thinking, you're going down the wrong line.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do is hope to manage them and strike a balance. You've seen along the highway, don't move a mussel. Billboards and signs, and that's a new state law on aquatic invasive species, ARS 17-250, 1 through 3, and that's clean, drain, and dry protocol, which is what's going to happen to this bass boat out here when we pull it out. We're going to drain all the water. I've got aquatic moss and weeds and
all kinds of stuff,
slime from this lake, so it'll be drained. I'm going to have to drain my water jackets, make sure I don't have any moss in there anyway, which is a whole different set of issues. If it clogs up the water jackets, it's going to superheat the motor next time I start and blow a power head. That's a $6,500 hiccup just because of some moss. We're not going there. But before I put it away, it'll go to the car wash. We'll wash all the debris off of it.
Well, let me ask you another novice question. Is it, when you talk about invasive species in any system, you normally, most people try to associate it with a man-made cause. Is it possible for a species to invade an area and not be man-made, not be man-created?
Brought in by man?
It is possible. There's schools of thought on villigers, or the
ducks, mallards, Canadian geese, bringing it in.
They say no, they don't, but
short range they can't.
Yeah,
not long range.
I'm not buying it. We've got cormorant flying from lake to lake to lake to lake to lake. Ducks flying from it's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
And you know why my youngest, my 13-year-old, she'll amaze me with some questions, especially after she's hung out with Dawn for a little while. And the other day we were talking about this, and I was telling you earlier I took an ecology class, and to broaden my horizons, and my 13-year-old said, "So Dad, how did species move around when man wasn't a big factor about how they move around, such as the dinosaur age or the different ages throughout history? How did species move from system to system and area to area?" And I thought, well, that's a pretty intelligent question coming from a 13-year-old. So I'm thinking not everything is man-made or man-caused.
No, it's not. There's been migration patterns that you found and adaptation to the environment based on a species. That's why you see different size animals, for different ranges, depending on what they were able to support and based on what their development was over time. Mm-hmm. Survival.
Darwin, natural selection.
Yes.
But at the
low end of the gene pool on each end here, and then the survivor here in the middle.
Okay, yeah, survivor.
You are the pinnacle.
Yeah. Well, the long and the short of it, human beings are responsible for the bulk of it.
Now, Don, I got one more question for you here. I'm new to the area, and I came up out of Yuma where I was fishing the Colorado and the canals and a few of the smaller dams down there.
Stay in the canals, son.
So somebody new to this area with kids, where would you recommend maybe starting to go fish with them? Where'd be a good place I could take my kids to go fishing just to start out?
Well, I'd definitely take a look at the urban lakes.
Tempe Town Lake.
We've got about 26, soon to be in the 30s of stocked, pretty well taken care of urban lakes. Tempe Town Lake's one of them. Bartlett, here locally, Bartlett's a short run. Shore fishing's available, pleasant. And then you start getting into some of the more fun lakes. If you're going to, Saguaro Lake as an example, it's got yellow bass, largemouth, catfish, all kinds of good stuff. So check with Sportsman's Warehouse as an example. They have fishing reports up there.
You got a big board for you to look at and tells you what's catching where.
Hey, we've got to get this thing wrapped up. I want to invite you guys out to the Fairmount Scottsdale Princess, 7575 East Princess Drive. Check them out. Come out and eat. Family opportunities. I want to thank them for having us out. Master Sergeant Mike Majors, the 158th MEB, and Master Sergeant Christopher Dempsey. Thank you, man.
Oh, thanks for having us out here in Downville.
JK, always been a pleasure, and thanks for your help hanging out and fishing with the kids yesterday.
Enjoyed it.
Check out the website. We'll have some postings up in the next day or two. We've got some up there now. I'm Don McDowell. Take your kids fishing, hug your bass boat. Hey, it's Independence Day. Salute a soldier. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We're out of here.
The car needs washing and the weeds are growing. The honeydew's starting, the dogs are barking, and I got a truck and trailer I should be parking. Well, some like to rock, some like to roll. Me and the boys like to shake, rattle, and troll.